And here we go. We can just start now. All right. So once again, everyone, a warm welcome to you into Nepal Cloud Professionals virtual meetup today. Uh, I am Pradeep Kandel, as you know, and I'm a Microsoft MVP. I am a consultant around Azure and Microsoft Cloud Platform at Seelogic. And beyond that, I lead Nepal Cloud Professionals community here. And today, I'm really glad to welcome our, uh, besides me, three more speakers into the meetup. Menaka Baskerpillai, Chandan, Bhagat, Gupta, and Basant Kumar Shah, as you all know already. This event is supported by Dogma Group and powered by Microsoft and Microsoft Most Valuable Professionals program. And today, as we know that our topic of discussions are around mainly around uh, different Microsoft uh, products and technologies, mainly on a theme of Dynamics 365 and Power Platform. Even though it is not just about Dynamics 365 or Power Platform or Azure, but in general, it is we thought that because we are covering Power Platforms, Power BI, we're covering Power Automate, we're also covering Dynamics 65. So we thought that we could make it a theme to call it as Dynamics 65 and Power Platform themed session. So this is a kind of a session that we generally do not do uh, here, but this is a bit different. Like you know, um, because most of the audience I would say would be, even though it's an online session, most of the audience would be from Nepal, and in Nepal we don't really have much uses of Dynamics 65 and Power Platform, even though I cannot deny that that the users is too low, because there are organizations like the organization that I work in, even though the uses of these products and technologies is very high, but it is not built in Nepal. So all of these products and technologies are mainly built from outside of Nepal. So it doesn't count to Nepal's revenues or things, in terms of billings. So moving forward, let me um, move into all right, before I take up my session, I think I would like to introduce a bit about the Nepal Cloud Professionals. If you have not joined Nepal Cloud Professionals, please do join. This is a community of cloud professionals, IT and developer professionals, solutions providers, thought leaders who live and breathe cloud. And how you can join is simply through Facebook groups, Twitter, LinkedIn. You can just consume updates. nepalcloudpro.org is the domain where we have our email addresses hosted for those who are in the leadership place, and those who really need the Power Platform, Power Office 365 services. Um, so beyond that, when you become part of the this community, there are certain guidelines that we want you to follow. For example, the guidelines like you can come and join us in a Facebook group, but make sure that you are not sharing unnecessary links. You can share relevant topics uh, around cloud platform. So it doesn't really have to be only about Dynamics 65. You can, uh, it can be about Azure, it can be about Office 365, it can be about .NET, DevOps, Azure DevOps, or uh, you know, you name it. All the developer tools, the cloud tools, uh, those topics can be part of the discussions in this user group. We are also a part of Azure technical communities in Meetup. You may also want to join. You can easily find as meetup.com/Nepal Cloud Pro. We are in, like I said, we are all over social media, so you can join if you want to speak in our upcoming sessions. So there's a form, bit.ly Nepal Cloud Pro speaker form. You can fill that up, and then eventually um, we have few more people joining. So let me prove there are two more people joining. Okay. All right. So now, when I say the session that I'm taking up today is around Dynamics 65, and because, like I said, this topic is very new to people in Nepal. Uh, of course, there are experts that I know. However, this is a new topic in terms of Nepal's community engagements. So I thought that we should start from the introductions of Dynamics 65 Power Platform tools. So that's why the reason why we have this session today. And I would like to connect these platforms to Azure services and have a discussion moving forward as well. So I would like to I would like to start from the digital transformation that's happening worldwide. Where today who is the CEO of Microsoft? Everybody knows, right? Satya Nadella. But who is the CEO of digital transformation? You can respond to me in chat, by the way, if you want to add your comment on my question. Who is the CEO of digital transformation today? Then hi Hemraj, but then you can add your response in the chat section. You might be wondering, I mean, CEO of digital transformation. Well, the point that I wanted to make is, uh, you know, COVID, Corona. So Corona is the new CEO of digital transformation today. Because uh, the organizations, individuals are now pushed to move to the digital world. Even though if they want to, do face-to-face sessions, face-to-face interactions, but because of the current crisis, we are forced to stay at home and do our things. So so, but all in all, it's a very good thing for us. There's a positive side. There's a silver lining to every difficulties, and because of the current situation, I think the digital transformation is actually really booming, and uh, you know, um, so what is it that takes us to this point where the whole world is transforming digitally? Is like, first thing is like engaging customers. We want the customers, as an organization, we want our customers to engage with us, right? And or as an organization, we have standard operating procedures, and we want our employees, our people, to follow those operating procedures, the business processes. That when you are not using any digital platform in following these processes, there can be a lot of human errors, and when it becomes digital, then those human errors can be uh, really removed, right? And today's, we want to, the organizations also wants to empower their employees with the tools, and the best tools today are the tools that really drive the businesses. And on that note, Dynamics 365 is one of those tools that really drives the digital transformation across different industry verticals, whether it be commerce, whether it be marketing, sales, or in providing customer service. So, or you know, across uh, different areas of business. Uh, Dynamics 365 has its apps and solutions, and is supported by Power Platform that in general includes Power BI, Power Automate, and Power Apps. And all of these tools are really worked together because of uh, because of its integration with Microsoft Azure services. So moving forward, I would like to give you this comprehensive solutions overview on Dynamics 365, where Dynamics 365, though it's a product that comes from Microsoft, you know, Microsoft provides single sign-on SSO uh, for almost a lot of its cloud apps and services, and the starting point is generally Microsoft 365. So Microsoft 365 is the new name to Office 365, and with that tool, you generally get the Azure Active Directory integrated as well. With that, you also get access to Microsoft free tenant, and within that, the tenant that can be customized later, that tenant can be part of any other Microsoft products and solutions and services as well. For example, Dynamics 365. So Dynamics 365 integrates with with the Azure AD, and comes into a single sign-on platform. Uh, so eventually, what we get out of Dynamics 365 is different modules that supports service delivery or marketing or customer support or resource schedulings, uh, things like that, and to be able to bring all those data into the reporting platform through Power BI and through other Azure services. And this has a unique, this platform has a unique database access process called a data access uh, uh, called CDS, and with that, you know, that's a very secure data platform. Even though it's built, its backend is built on Microsoft SQL Server. However, this is entirely managed. This is entirely managed by Microsoft in Microsoft's data center, where we do not get direct access to Microsoft's services. Okay, there's one more joining us. One more. Okay. So, all right. So, what is Dynamics 365? It is a leading CRM platform, but it is not just a CRM platform. It is a ERP platform as well. I think we already understand CRM and ERP. This is what I assume. But just to give you an idea, CRM is customer relationship management, and ERP is enterprise resource planning. And these and Microsoft Dynamics is not a single application that supports CRM and ERP, because, like I said, Dynamics 365 has multiple apps and modules, and that makes up the CRM and ERP platform. To be really straight on this, plans such as customer engagement is a CRM platform, provides CRM platform. However, plans like Business Central is a ERP platform. So the way it is built is like, the usability is at the core, because it's very user friendly for the people who really use across different departments who are not too technical or not technical. Even for them, using Dynamics 365 is very simple, pretty simple, and it is, like I said, the reason why organizations being digitally transformed and into this Dynamics 365 platform is because it really helps the organizations to make data-oriented decisions, data-driven decisions, rather than depending on the Excels, rather than depending on the data coming in from silos. Uh, when it comes to Dynamics 365, you can bring all of the data sources together into one platform, and then you can process those data together and eventually, generate insightful business reports to make smarter decisions. So some of the applications, for example, like I said, Business Central, customer engagement. Customer engagement is not just one application; it contains other apps such as customer service, sales, project service automation, and so on. There are other tools like apps like finance and operations, field service. Field service is part of the customer engagement again. There's tools for retail commerce. There's a separate Dynamics 365 for human resource. Earlier, this used to be called talent. However, now there's one more addition to this portfolio is project operations. This is slightly different from the Microsoft PSA, Project Service Automation, which is part of customer engagement. And so one more joining. And like I said, project operations is a new, really is a very new addition to Dynamics 365 portfolio, and this supports end-to-end project operations management. That includes not only the project management, but the finance and operations as well. Really good demonstrations of this in the public preview is now in Microsoft blog. You can simply search online and go through this if you really want to check out. So key capabilities, if I say the key capabilities is you can get easy application modules with the single sign-on. You can develop smarter business processes. Like for example, in general, whichever industry you take, all of the industry, any organization you take, they have their own standard business processes. And to be honest, Dynamics 365 provides like 90% of the features in it are usable, and only like with 10% of customizations on top of Dynamics 365, the product becomes ready for a service to the clients. So one of the other unique benefit is with Dynamics 365 comes Dynamics 365 app for Outlook, which integrates with Microsoft Outlook, and this really helps tracking emails and communications with the clients and and stakeholders and everyone in the communications, right? And the other important thing is data. Data is really important, whether it is in terms of compliance, security, and compliance. Microsoft Dynamics 365 stores data in Microsoft's global data centers, and which means if you are a user, if as a customer in Nepal, we can choose the nearest data center. But Microsoft data center, for example, with lowest latency, either in India or in Singapore. But if the customers are maybe in the Europe or in the US or Australia, then accordingly we can choose the data center regions. So the latency is really low. A few more joining. Obviously, Kandel is joining, right? So and so on. So and Dynamics 365 has a Microsoft app as well, and this app is available in Android and iOS. Plus, we can also leverage the Power Platform for Power Apps as well. That is slightly different. That comes under a Power Platform. So regular update, of course, because this is a cloud-based service. So Microsoft pushes regular updates. In fact, Microsoft is making a huge investment in this Dynamics 365 platform, as per Satya Nadella's announcements about a month before in Microsoft Build. Microsoft is really making bigger investments in this platform. So really good for those who want to embrace this platform. So differential benefits that includes like I mentioned, Azure AD integration. So most of the Microsoft Cloud apps are Azure AD integrated, and all of those that I mentioned earlier in the key capabilities. So other features includes the reportings reporting features where you could use you can in Dynamics 365 you can create views, you can create templates, Excel templates, you can create you can leverage advanced find options to be able to generate your custom reporting requirements, so you can easily analyze data coming in from different sources. And then there are functionalities such as scheduling and bookings to be able to book the resources. The resources could be human resources or could be any other resources. When I say any other resources, it could be, including, let's say, a meeting room. We might want to when someone needs to be booked on something, then there could be not just about the human resource, but that could be other associated tools and resources as well, physical resources as well. So those things can be easily managed with the schedulings and bookings functionalities. Then you can create partnerships and organizations as accounts or any other user-friendly names in Dynamics 365. These are just quick examples. Recently, Microsoft announced unified client interface. One look and feel across all the devices. It's like pretty much like calling it a responsive design, where whether we use Dynamics 365 on tablet or in larger screens, desktops, or in tablets, slates, or mobile phones, the designs are quite responsive. So earlier this was not supported, but recently these updates are still coming to organizations. Many there are still many organizations worldwide who are not using this platform because of their initial investments in the customization of this platform, because it is being observed that some of the customization is lost when they migrate, when they come into this unified client interface platform. So this looks like few more joining. All right. So unified, if I have to talk about unified client interface, then it provides a new UI, like I said, and then improved data explorations, which means the way we can explore data within Dynamics 365 has drastically improved with improved form experiences and ability to ability to embed Power Apps and Canvas apps into Dynamics 365 as well. So I would like to quickly jump into the demonstrations part. So, okay, there are two more people, Ramesh Manandar and Abhishek, joining. Okay, so I want to jump into the demonstrations, but maybe before that, what do I have? Okay, so I have also added some screenshots from the demonstrations. So to give you, before I jump into demonstration, maybe I can walk through these screenshots as well. Sorry about the interventions, because I am needing to approve people to join in. Okay, so navigation bar. So all right, I'm not going into the screenshots. Maybe best is to go into the demonstrations part, because we have very limited time. I'm resharing my screen now to be able to okay. So here I am resharing my screen to this one. All right. So right now I'm in a Edge browser, and suppose I want to sign sign up for Dynamics 365. Generally, you can sign up for Dynamics 365 trials from places like trials.dynamics365.com. I'm not going to sign up through the entire process, but I'm just giving you a walkthrough of how it really works, because like I said, this is I think this is for the first time that we're doing it, and moving forward we can we plan to come up with more Dynamics 365 and Power Platform sessions as well. So like I said, there are different modules that you can choose, like sales, customer service, field service, process service automations for project management, finance and operations. Field service is for if there are a lot of field staffs, and if the field staffs needs to carry tools, their bookings and so on, then you can use field service. Retail, you would need a work email to register for a trial. Work email would be your so your Office 365 account, for example, could be your work email, your mobile number here, and then you can simply get started, and you can eventually get into your office65.com, which means you definitely do not need Office 65 account subscriptions, but you will need a trial, at least the trial, because Microsoft might want to communicate with you. So how do I do it is I can go into home.dynamics.com. When I go into home.dynamics.com, it will prompt me for my my credentials. After I have added the trial, and then it will show me up all the apps that I'm subscribed to, that I have access to, because it is all access based. So if you look into this, there are multiple apps. These are apps that I am subscribed to, and there are other apps which are either published by companies like ISVs, independent software vendors like Seelogic, or uh, by the third-party ISVs, not Microsoft. And so these are all different environments within Dynamics 365. So let me go into one of the environment. Let's say I will not go into this one because I remember there's one called coe.crm. So this is the app I want to go into, because it has the trial, a sandbox environment for Dynamics 365, and I can quickly show you through different navigation options in Dynamics 365. And so Microsoft, leverages Microsoft's data centers, and to place Dynamics 365 applications based on where the customers are. Of course, it's taking more time than really just 5 Mbps. All right, I think it's getting better. Not really. My internet seems to be slower. All right, finally it's loading up. So this is a sandbox environment for Dynamics 365, and as you can see that the first screen that's showing up is a connected field service. Even though I don't really use this one, we can avoid this for now. We can just look uh, into the left navigation bar. So we can call it as a navigation bar here. And in the navigation bar, you can see that there are options such as do not show now, such as well, I want to skip this connected field service because let me go into something more familiar one. Say I'll go into uh, project service, or I can go into sales. So let me go into, I think I have data here. So let me go into Sales Hub. So Sales Hub helps to make sales process streamlined. So it has all the default entities here. For example, accounts, contacts, leads, opportunities, competitors, and so on. So these are called entities, and within these entities, so they are so much connected to each other that uh, because the database is after all central to so if I go into accounts, for example, accounts is like an organization, and it has a number of fields, but at first it shows up all the active account, and so this is a default view, and I can change the default view to say all from my active accounts to all accounts views. If I change this, it changes from 10 to now into 15 records. So now I can quite easily create accounts from plus new options. I can a new forms opens up, and I can add the names for uh, Nepal Cloud Professionals, for example. And then I can add the phone number, parent organizations. I am not sure if I have the parent organizations. Imagine that eDatum is the parent organizations, and I can add it. I can connect these organizations with eDatum this way. I can also add relationships. What kind of relationship it has? I can say it's a consultant to eDatum, and so depending on my business requirements, I can add or populate more and more details, right? And I can click on save, and this gets created, right? And I can associate. I can also now create a contact and associate that contact to Nepal Cloud Professionals, for example. I can go into contacts, and I think someone is joining. Gaurav Devgota is joining. All right. So let me quickly create some noise in the background. So let me mute you all. Yeah. Sorry, I had to mute because there was a background noise. Now let's say Pradeep. Okay, Pradeep is already there, but I wanted to create Pradeep, say Sharma. Okay. So these are the required fits. So when I create, I can associate just created Nepal Cloud Professionals and EAM Nepal. Okay, so I have just associated this contact with Nepal Cloud Professionals as account. The background noise. I would request you to please mute yourself because it's a bit disturbing. Okay. So yeah, this is like accounts and contacts. If I have to go into the lead sections, you know, there you can create a journey as well. For example, if I create if these are like open leads, Peter Histon, for example. Uh, if I say that Peter Histon is, so you can see that this is active for 67 hours in the opportunity sales pipeline. So the next stage is to qualify it. If I click on here, I can see there are some of the things that I need to make note before I take qualify it to the next stage. But suppose is it an existing client contact? So these are the details that I can fill in before I move into the next stage, right? So let's suppose that I want to qualify this. If I qualify this now, uh, it moves on to the next stage. Now it says that to add this record to existing one, select matching account and contact names. Okay, so let me say Nepal Cloud Professionals as a matching account, and then contact as all right, Pradeep Sharma, and continue. After I have added this, which means I can now qualify. Let me look into the chat section. I think that there's a few. Okay, there's a question from Anup. Is scheduling and booking available in all modules of Dynamics or just limited to field service module? Not into the all of these. It's a very good question, actually. Not It is not part of all the apps, but of course it is part of field service, and of course it is part of, for example, project services. So it depends on which app we're using. And can the data stored inside Nepal border? Assis Pataju asks this question: can the data stored be inside Nepal border? Which means not really if we are using the cloud-based Dynamics 65. But of course, there are on-premise versions of Dynamics 65 as well, which you can install in your real machine or in a VMware or Hyper-V, and then you can store your data locally in Nepal. You can do that. So not in the cloud version because we don't have data centers, Microsoft data center in Nepal. Okay, so that's how it works. Like there are different milestones, and these are really improved from the past. In the past, when there was a classical view, this was not that. There were this pipeline, opportunity pipeline, business process flows, but now it is more improved. So that's more interesting. So quite similarly, I mean, I'm looking into the product side this time, but I think it all depends on uh, individual clients' requirements, their business processes, because every organization is different. Like if you take, for example, a bank, one bank's business processes are different from other banks' business processes within the same city or anywhere you go, right? So it doesn't mean when we have the solutions done for one bank, it would work for the other bank as well. Or so, like I said, every organization is different. Every organization has its own set of standard operating processes, business processes. So it entirely depends on the bank's or the client's requirements. So all right, with this, I think moving back into my PowerPoint, uh, Just a second. I need to be able to select my PowerPoint. So where it is. First of all, new navigation. Yeah, so this is my PowerPoint. So it has improved, like I said, it has improved business process flows, the responsiveness across different devices and form factors. And then if you look into this, you can create record set navigation options where these are like there are several records and you can easily navigate between the records without having to close one record and then to open one other record. You can simply navigate between the records with the UCI. So like I said, you can embed Power Apps in Dynamics 365. So Power Apps, just to let you know that Power Apps is a Power Platform application, and with Power Apps you can easily develop apps that can meet specific business requirements, right? For example, there could be some requirements for clients or for an organizations where the employees would need to visit their clients' places or some sites, and from the site they might need to collect some real-time information, including the GPS location, including other details from the real-time communication on the client side. So those details can be, instead of using Dynamics 365, can be gathered from the Power Apps, and those details can be pushed directly into Dynamics 365. This is very interesting also because Power Apps, there's a free version of Power Apps as well, and without without having to buy Dynamics 365 licenses, you can leverage the Power Apps as well. So it really works. Which means many of the many many data can be pushed from Power Apps to Dynamics 365. So Power quite quickly. We are not covering this, but just to give you an idea that Power Platform covers a lot of apps. For example, Power BI, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agents, Power Apps. Like I said, there can be two types of Power Apps that you can create: model-driven apps and Canvas apps. The database that it leverages is Common Data Service. Um, Power BI is the reporting and visualization tool, which later in the later part of this, the next presentation is from Basanta, who would be like driving you through the Power BI, its uses and the visualizations and stuff like that. Then we also have other sessions on Power Automate, where with Power Automate you can easily it can be you can easily create different flows based on certain conditions and applying those conditions. If the conditions satisfy or not satisfy, accordingly you can trigger some next steps, and that can be useful in making sure that your application requirements are, whether it is a Dynamics 365 application or other applications requirements, are in place with these tools. So this is a new tool called Power Virtual Agent, PVA in short, and these tools are like chatbots, or which you can leverage to instead of of having real customer agents, you could have Power Virtual Agents configured into your systems. So these virtual agents can be trained and they can respond to customers and clients' queries in mass. So, okay, I'm not going into the nitty-gritty of these things, but if there's any questions, I would like to take up, and I would like to hand over the sessions to our next speaker in line. Let me go into the chat sections. If there's any questions, you could simply ask, or all right. I think we can move into the next session because it's about to be 2 p.m. Right time, a bit late. We wanted to have at next session started at 1:45, but it's still fine. So uh, let's begin. Possibly, I would like to end this PowerPoint now and hand this over the session to Basanta. Basant, if you're listening to me, uh, can we start to configure your laptop while we, I mean, you can start sharing your presentation. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
maybe our.
Hello, Pradeep Dai. I have already shared my screen. Can you see it? Can you see this?
Oh, yes, I can see. Yes, that's
Okay.
good. I can see. Do you want me to, introduce yourself, or you would want to introduce?
I will do that. No worries.
All right.
Sure.
All right. Thanks, Basant. So,
Thank you.
all right, the session is
Pradeep.
yours. Yeah, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Pradeep. It was really a nice session and very insightful of you. It was a brief overview of everything. First of all, let's introduce myself. My name is Basanta. I am currently working as an assistant engineer at a telecom company in Nepal called Ncell. Before that, I started my journey as a software developer, moreover as a blockchain developer. I worked there for a few years, and in between, I have also worked as an assistant lecturer at London Metropolitan University. So there are few things that I really like about Power BI, and we're really going to talk about those things. There are so many things to learn about Power BI actually, but since we have a limited time frame, I will try to be more precise and give you insightful of what Power BI is and how we can use it in our daily life. So for today's session, we are going to learn about the historical background of data visualization, a brief introduction of business intelligence and data visualization, and afterwards, for the quick brief, if you, after our quick brief, we are going for the demonstration part. For demonstration, I am going to show you a very a quick way to how you can install Power BI desktop on your local machine, and as well as we will see how there are different ways of importing data from different sources like SQL, Excel, CSV, or any online APIs. There are more than this. You will see this later, and we'll also learn about how we can visualize the data, whatever we are using as a table, as a set of data, and we are also going to monitor our KPIs, how this visualization can really help us to identify our KPIs and overcome our issues and make progressive decisions in any company or any for any CIO or any organization. We'll also see how we can share the data. So whenever we create any visualization out of a raw data or a data set, then we obviously need to share the data to someone who can analyze that and later present it to the decision makers actually. We are going to do it in a fun way because I see there's lots of demonstration that I can show you during this session, but let's see how we can go over for that. Before we start our demonstration, I would like to go through for the background. Data visualization. What it really means is the graphical representation of any information and data by using visual elements like chart, graphs, maps. Data visualization tools provide an accessible way to see and understand the trend, outlier, and pattern in data. Uh, so in very specific way, if I have to explain what data visualization we are going to use and how it is going to affect everyone, is like the pictorial or graphical visualization of information. The information could be like a millions of rows in an Excel sheet, or you can see like a very complicated set of data in a database. Like if you are importing data from SQL server, there could be like hundreds of tables, and you want to import all those tables and see the changes, how those things are changes in real time. So in that way, our data visualization is going to help us here. Also, we will talk about different tools that are being used instead of Power BI, like Tableau. It could be ClickView, Spotify, and what are the difference between those tools and Power BI. So if I have to point out one major difference between other rest of the visualization tools and Power BI, the one will be the ability to modify the data, the ability to change the data set in the real time. If you import a data, not only you can visualize those data, but also you can change it in real time. Those are the main key difference between other visualization platform and Power BI. So, how business intelligence and data visualization are really going to change the current scenario of a company? So, since I have already explained that I work as an assistant engineer at a telecom company, if I have to share my personal experience, then how it works is the BI or business intelligence teams always sends us a query. They ask for the certain data of this month or this user or something like that. We query for those data, imported in Excel or CSV format, and we send back to the BI team where they could collect, integrate, analyze, and present the data. This is the part where IT or any professional works of my field. We fetch the data from the application or from the practical scenarios. We give it the data to BI team where they could collect, integrate, analyze, and present, and then they forward those data in very simplified way, or we can say that it in a visualized way to the decision maker, because we cannot send a raw data or Excel sheet with millions of rows to a CIO, to a CEO, and ask them to make a decision, right? This is very simple way to understand this. So if I are going to send only the raw of data and we are going to ask for the decision, it will be very hard, and the decision may not come what we expect good for an organization. So this is the place where I work, and I always give the data to BI team, and they analyze those data, they visualize those data, and gives it to the decision maker. But how BI is going to help us here? So basically, BI is going to eradicate this step, because now a business team or eradicate, I can say that Power BI can also remove me from this field, right? Why? Because if they could collect data in real time, we don't need to give them the same data every time. They can get it in the real time. They can get it in with a simple few clicks, right? So we don't need to invest much of our time fetching the data and giving them to the BI team or any analysis part. And moreover, they can see it more insightful. They can see the more column and other things that they want to see and give it to the decision maker. Moving forward, so what is business intelligence and data visualization? The term business intelligence refers to technology, application, and practices for the collection, integration, analysis, and presentation of visual information or business information. The purpose of business intelligence is to support better business decision making. Essentially, business intelligence systems are data-driven decision, or you can say decision support system, DSS. Business intelligence is sometimes used to interchangeably with briefing books, report, query, and tools and executive information system. This is how OLAP describes the business intelligence system. If I have to give the quick insight how we are going to do our demo part and everything here, I have shared a snippet. Here you can see that the raw data, how we can modify the data to a visualized part, and we can see the trend how it is increasing or decreasing, so that we can make the necessary step, or we can make the necessary correction steps in coming days. We are going to use this. If possible, we are also going to see how COVID-19 is affecting all around the world in real time, or you say the latest data I have been provided with. Let's move out to the demonstration. In demonstration, I would like to show few screenshots first, and then we'll move directly to the Power BI application, desktop application. If anyone wants to download this Power BI desktop version, you can always go to app.powerbi.com, where you may need to sign in with your email address. As Pradeep they already said, it may be helpful if you sign in with your office mailing address. Then there is like a download button over here. If you can see, is a small, but there's a download button where you can download Power BI for desktop or Power BI desktop, or it could be mobile or a data gateway, anything you want, a proprietary software you want to download from here. After a few clicks, you can easily install and launch your Power BI desktop. While clicking on finish, I will recommend to launch. Click on launch after finish so that you can quickly access the Power BI after this. So once we start, we can see this getting started phase. We'll go truly about this again during our demonstration part, but here we can see like how easily you can import data. We will see that the sources we can import data, but how easily you can import data or any recent sources that you have already used to import data. There will be more option if you have saved your PBIX format, uh, visualize data, and other things like if there is any API you have used to import the data. If you want to learn anything about it later, you can go through the video tutorials or like blog post from here. If you don't want to see this getting started page, you can always click uncheck this, show this on startup. Okay, so we have installed our Power BI. We have gone through the getting started page, and I have not imported anything. So how does it looks? So if you see here, they like different things, right? There are so many things that it may need you weeks and months to learn each and everything about it. But if I have to give you a quick insight, then the very easy way will be like, if you want to import the data, you can click on get data. If you click on this downside facing arrows, you can import from different sources. If you have already used this Power BI and imported any other source of data, you can always use recent sources. And if you want to manually enter your data or your table, then you can always use your enter data. If you want to edit the queries, you can use edit. There are different options. We'll go one by one in during the demonstration part. There is visualization part. If there is any chart you want to use, it is there. If there is not any visualization that you might want to use, you can always import it from the marketplace. If you have any custom visualization that you have made for yourself, then you can import from a file. And if you want to switch the theme, you can always use the switch theme. There are three options. If you see on left hand side of the screen, it is for the view report, view table, and view visualization or relationship table. So what does view report does? View report shows you the real time visualization of your data. What does view table does? You can see the table content in view table, and if you want to see the relationship between different tables that you have imported, you can always go to the relationship button here. This blank space, this is called canvas. You can always use this canvas to to put your visualization here, and you can always add new pages in this canvas. So if I have a data set that is too complicated and it could not fit in one canvas, then I can always import new pages. So if you look carefully, there is also one more new page. And what does this new page does is it does the same thing as down below, but also if you want to copy the same data set from one page to another page, you can always use the drag button here and duplicate the pages here. We'll go thoroughly about it. We'll go more on filters, values, and the visualization part later on demonstration. So as I was talking about getting data or importing data, you can see there are different options here where you can by which you can really import the data. There are places where you can click on get data, or if you just drag the option, you can see there is like Excel, Power BI, and database. SQL or text. Web is used to import real-time API values, which changes according to the time. If you want to see that. So this is the simple demonstration. I don't have lots of data set to demonstrate you, but we'll do this and other things as well during the demonstration. But here is a quick insight how we can see a data. For example, there is a total like fruit sales in our country, Nepal. I made this data set to be more precise from our country, Nepal. So what are we going to see is the trend of year, or you can say months, how many like what are the quantities these things are being sold. So in legend illustrate the product names and everything that you want to map your data with or visualization with. And there comes the values where you want to see what are the things being displayed in your visualization. Okay, we are going to talk more about it. And then if you are done with your visualization, if you see if everything is the way you want it to be your in your visualization, you can always go to the publish button over here and click on save. For the first time you need to save it locally using pbix format. After this you will be prompted to ask where or whom you want to share your visualization, right? So for the person you want to share your visualization, there are like three options available here. One will be my workplace, so that I could go later on and change whoever want to see my visualization output, or it could be a group or it could be a whole company. So right now I have used my workplace. Later on if you want to see your visualization, you can after you upload, yeah, publish your power bi, you can click on the link provided so that it could navigate you through to the web portal of where you can see your visualization. This is the dashboard. So as I have already explained or shared a small share something about dashboard, like if analysis, if a person like me, an IT guy who is sharing data to the BI guy, so BI guy is going to do the same thing, right? Not in the Power BI, in their own way, and then they are going to share it to this the decision maker. So how it helps to simplify those processes, like whenever now they don't need the data engineer right now, so business guy can always import data by themselves, and when they think the data is as they wanted to share, then they can pin the data and put it on their workspace or dashboard so that other person can see it, the changes in real time. So here is the way how can you put it on your dashboard. This is the pin button. If you pin it, you can see always see it on the dashboard. So one thing that really excites me on Power BI is how you can use natural language query to make any to know more about your insights. So if you want to see the total discount by state, I have used this natural language query so that I could demonstrate everyone who is not from technical background how can they query different things from their visualization part. So if I want to see the discount by state, I could just click. I could just type it. What is the discount by state? Or if I want to see how many sales are there in Pokhara, I can just click on how many sales are there in Pokhara, and the sale insight can show me the exact output of what I'm trying to find out from them. So I hope this really excites you as well. So I would like to move to the demonstration part in Power BI. Meanwhile, can somebody tell me if I'm being too fast? You can always stop me at the same time. Okay, so I have shared my screen. This is the screen. As I have said, if you start your new desktop for Power BI, you will be greeted with getting started option. As in previous screenshot, you have not seen how the recent things works here. If I have already opened, I have already saved few reports as PBIX format. It always saves as a locally as a PBIX format, so you can see what are the recent file that I have used here. And if you want to import data, quick import the data, I can always click and get data. And if there are like recent sources that I have already pulled data from, it could be web API, it could be database, Oracle, DB, or anything, I can always use these recent resources. There are a few video tutorials, you can always go through it since we are doing these things, so I don't think we need to go over those things. Okay, so here we are. We have a clean slate. There's nothing here to demonstrate right now. So what we need to do is we need to import the data, right? So as I have already explained, there's a get data button. You can click on get data and choose the different option, or you can click on get data over here and see how many options are there to actually import the data. You can even import data from GitHub, or you can use online sources. It could be like a web platform where you can import data from say API or something like that, or it could be database. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to import data from Excel. So I'm clicking on Excel and I will click on connect. It will prompt me where I want to from where I want to import the data. So this is the data set that I want to demonstrate today. When I import the data, the first thing I will see is which sheet I want to import the data from, because one Excel could have multiple sheets, and which is the real sheet that I want to import the data. If you want to edit the data, edit by edit I means if you want to sort the data or anything like that, you can always click on edit. So let me show you how this works. So if you click on edit, you will be given the option to sort the data. If you see here, my data is of 2013 and 2014, right? So if I don't want to use the 2013 data, then I can simply remove those 2013 format from here. These are the simple steps. Once you are done with this, you can always use close and apply, so that the changes that you have made here can be reflected to the sources, to the steps you want to import the data. And after this, the data, your data gets imported. So where the data is, the question answers here, the sheet 1. This is the sheet 1 that I have imported right now. If you want to import multiple sheets, you can always do that. If you want to relate those sheets with one another, you can always use a relationship table, which is here, and always relate one table with another table. If but there is one trick for this. If all your sheet has different values and none of your sheet has any unique values, you cannot create relationship, right? So this is the general idea of database. For one to one, one to many, or many to many, you must have one specific or one unique set of column. So it could be serial number or some ID number, something like that. Not going to those places. We are going to just visualize the data, how these things we can see in visualization format. For right now, if I want to see the data, this is the data. If I am going to send this data to a decision maker, it will be very hard. Like, what are the profits? I see the profits, sometimes it goes in minus, and sometimes it is really nice, it is on plus. So how they are going to visualize it is by using the visualization tab. This is the report. So let's see a line graph then. This is the line graph. I can import the line graph. Okay, I haven't explained this. So these are the visualization. Yeah, I can use any sorts of visualization tools that I want to use. It could be a map, or it could be a stack bar chart. It could be a clustered column chart, or it could be a line graph, a line chart. For right now, let's see how I'm not a person from BI, but we can actually see how the profit and sales really relates with each other. to see those changes, how we have just imported a empty canvas where there is no data, right? So how we can do this is by importing the date to the axis. By importing the date to the axis, we make sure that the axis has all the necessary only the necessary things that we really need here. So I will go to the same things again. Let's say how much profit that we are going to make on those years. So I'm just dragging this this column from my sheet to the values. Here I can see it is going from 13 2014 is booming, right? From 4 million to it goes almost around okay, it is around 13 million. So it does not shows how the data has changed in the time being. So what I can do is I can just remove the year, and I can see that in quarter it is how it is going, how it is increasing. If I remove the quarter, I can see how monthly it is changing. In every month it has been changed, and there been a time in October where it has boomed to around 3.5 million. So these are the sales, these are the profits. But what about the sales? How the sales are directly affecting my profit, right? So if you want to see and contrast those information, we can similarly we can just drag and drop these values, and we can see that when there was a booming sale, we can also see there's a little spike on profit margin. Okay, so this is the normal way anyone can see this data and analyze that how the sales and profit is working together, right? But what happens when I give them the discount? So everyone loves discount, and if I'm giving 10% discount on Apple, then are they going to buy my product more, or it is going and it is going to affect negatively or positively to my profit margin? So if you want to contrast those things, you can always drag and drop your discount again to the values, and you can see that there have been different time when discount was maximum, and at the same time profit was also maximum, and at the same time as profit is maximum, the sales is also maximum. So this is the normal chart where we can see profit, discount, and sales margin in real time. If you are connecting it with your API, the data changes at every moment, and you can see it in a real instance, right? So this was the one thing that I could simply show you how the profit and profit is, how the market is making profit here. Okay, so what, okay, this, if you want to see this in full page, you can always click on focus mode, and you can see on full page, or you can go back and just drag where you want to see this data. If you want anything else, if I want a pie chart over here, I can always keep one more pie chart here. If I want more two more product, I can put it on here in my empty canvas. Let's not do this, right? Let's make it a full screen. Let's make it one, enough for this page. Okay, now I'm going to show you how you can use a new canvas or empty canvas where you can import more data. We can visualize more data. So as I have already explained, you can add new pages by clicking on new page, or you can go here and click on new page. For a new page, if you click here, you can duplicate the same page or to new page, or you can just create a blank page over here. So this is the same thing. If I remove this page and add one new page, it's the same thing from here. So in during my presentation, I've already showed you how you can see what are the products that are being sold in a mass or in a higher scale than other things. Then you can just click on pie chart. This is the pie chart where I want to see all the fruits that have been sold. Let me show you the data. So this is the data. These are the states, these are the products, and if I have to sort the product, these are the specific product that I am selling or anyone is selling. And we can we have already seen the profit margin, we have already seen the sales, and we have already seen the discount over here. So what I'm going to show you is what are the products that are being sold uh, in higher quantity compared to the other products. So for that, what we can do is we can see that there's no axis, right? Because in this is the pie chart, we cannot have axis in pie chart. So how we can use this? So if you see this, there is a legend. Legend, what legend does is that helps you uh, give you insight of what are the fields there in your visualization. So what all I can do is I can put product on my legend. So so there is nothing right now, obviously. And then when we put the sales, how many sales has been made in 2 years from 13 to 14, we can just drag and drop that sales, and we can see that uh, there's a comparatively banana has been sold more than any other product over here. So now we are going to use more tools over here. So we have already used the field tools, which helps us to analyze our data, which helps us to see our data in more insightful way. How we can change the look of this data, or we can change the visualization of this pie chart, is by clicking on format. So right now we don't know which we don't have a legend on here. So if you turn this legend, we can see what are the products in color wise. One may say that you already have this illustration over here, but obviously you can see it from the canvas or from the legend. If you want to change the color, if anybody is too nerd and want to see banana in banana color, right? So you can always change its color from here. You can do all those kind of things. And if you want to see the detail label or anything like that, so if I want to change this label apple, and I want to change the color, you can always change the color. By apple I mean every legend. Okay, you can always increase the font size, and at same time you can change the background on other aspects of this visualization. The basic idea over here is how you can use this visualization on how you prefer. So somebody might prefer putting this apple inside the pie chart, or this naming inside the pie chart, or somebody may prefer not to have this labeling, and they can use the legend over here to see the data. It's all upon you, whatever you want to do here. So this is the basic idea how you can create different insight, how you can create that visualization from a data source. Okay, so you have created a data source, and now you want to publish this data source, because this is not the end of the story. Because whenever you created your visualization, you may want to send it to a decision maker, so that the next time he can do some marketing for apple instead of banana, to make progress of sales to apple instead of banana, right? So how we can do that is we can click on publish button here. So when you click on publish button, it first asks you if you want to save the changes. Yeah, exactly. I want to save the changes. So it asks you to save the changes in PBIX format. So let's say demonstration be the name of this file, and you save this data. Once you have saved, as I have already showed you before, you can share it with your with a group of your company. The Power BI, you can create different groups, and where you can share your different visualization over there. So right now I am setting it again to my workplace, because I don't want to disturb other colleagues over here. So let's click on share. It will be saved first, and it will share to my workplace. Okay, so once when it is successful, you can always open the demonstration.pvix format in Power BI. So right now we're using Power BI desktop, right? So we are going to use the web form of Power BI. Again, you need to log in with your credential to see this, because without credential you cannot see your saved visualization. Once it's completed, you can click on My Workplace, right? And there are like two things I have already shared. Shell was one to make this PowerPoint presentation, and demonstration is the one that I have shared right now. So when I click on demonstration, I can see my data is being loaded. And if someone wants to change the data in real time, you can change it from here. You can use your use this web platform to change the data as you have used your desktop app over there. And I don't know why. Okay, so if I want to see here. Okay, so whatever I've shared in my Power BI, you can always see it from the desktop. Okay, somebody is suggesting us to see on reports, right? So basically, the data should be here, but if you want to see me the report, not here. Okay. No, so you want me to see here report. So this if you are suggesting me to click on reports, don't say. Okay. So you can see, okay, you can see the demonstration here. Sorry, I just lost the site here. So if you can see the data I have shared is from here, from the report. But yes, you can I think you can also see from this data set. I don't know why. Okay, so this data set is generally used for getting new canvas out of the data you have just imported in your Power BI desktop. But in report, you can see what you have shared here. All right, thank you, whoever suggested me this. Okay, so once you have shared the data, you can always click pin the visuals, and you can later see on your dashboard. So it could be an existing dashboard, or you can see on your new dashboard. If I click on existing dashboard, I can see now this is my dashboard, and the demonstration should be here. So the basic thing that I want to share is like how in real time that you can see the data here. If you these are the general way where you can share your data to whomever you want to share the data. It may be a decision maker, or from someone from the business analysis group. Okay, once we have done that, we've been through the different thing here. Now I'll go back again to Power BI. See, I have used the data. This data was imported from a one Excel group. If we are importing it from multiple Excel group, you can use the relationship table. So this relationship table always demonstrate how one to many or many to one data is being affected. The same way, you can also import the data from recent sources. For an example, this is the recent sources of COVID-19, where it gets the real-time data gets reflected over this API. This is an open API. Anyone can use this. And if you want to load the data, so data is being loaded. Okay, data already had been loaded. So and we see the real map over here, and want to see how these things are being changes in by location wise or anything like that. So what we can do is we can click on the data. Okay, we don't have any specific name over it, so all we can do is click on this. And so let me see what column one is. So basic idea is like you can see the changes or anything in real time. If you want to see the product being sold, most of the product being sold at one region of the world, and you want to emphasize the same thing for other, or do your analysis and improve your sales at different places, you can do the same wise, and you can see those data in real time. Okay, this was all about the demonstration that I wanted to show today. Okay, let me go back to my presentation. Again, so that was all about the demonstration part. And okay, so if there is any question, you can always ask me on chat group, and I will be happy to respond them. If you want to reach out to me, I'll be very happy to connect with the people who are in this group today. And this is all from my side. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to me. Pradeep, it's all over to you.
Thank you so much, Basanta, for your wonderful session. It was very insightful. As the topic itself says, BI, it was really insightful as well. And and thanks to Vaibhav Vaidya, he's actually my colleague who shared his inputs, and it was nice to have feedbacks from the people in this forum right now. So moving forward, the next session would be by Menaka Baskerpillai. Menaka, you're there in the call, right?
Yeah, yes, Pradeep. I already joined.
Yeah, great, thanks. And so, guys, just to let you know that Menaka is from Chennai, and she's working as a software engineer at Accenture. And she's an enthusiastic blogger and is international speaker. She does a lot on .NET Core, Azure, and stuff like that. And she, by the way, she used to also be a Microsoft student partner in the past, Mozilla Firefox student ambassador. She's a Microsoft certified resource in Azure, CSAP. So she has a lot of thing, lot to I think share today. So let's welcome her into this session on implementing Azure services in .NET Core web development. So over to you, Menaka.
Yeah, it's very glad to participate in Nepal Cloud Conference. Anyway, I'm very eager to deliver my sessions. That's all about me. You already introduced me entirely. I'm so, so glad. I'm so glad to participate.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Shall I start my session?
Yeah, sure, Menaka.
Good afternoon, friends. In my time zone, it's afternoon. So let me go to my presentation. Are you able to see my screen?
Not so far, but Looks like, yep, we can.
Yeah. Uh, Today is like topic is like implement Azure services in .NET Core web development. If you go for .NET things as a .NET developer, I've been a year experienced developer. I from my college days I'm working in framework. When I get out of my college, core get into the is extent from it older version to now it's around 5 being released. So implementing services in .NET framework and .NET core is completely different, and some of the things have been already exist and some of the new features been added. So, as a .NET Core developer, we need to understand the implementation along with the how to check up the endpoints, how to create a service in Azure, how to hook up with your .NET Core. So that's what I feel. The session is like. I want to make sure the session is like very interesting. I hope I will make it. Let's go in deep. So this is all about me as Pradeep introduced me. So you can contact me in my Twitter, LinkedIn, as well as in my mail, agenda. Today we are going to discuss about some of the important service that each and every .NET developer needs to know, because without Azure the .NET development is like you being a .NET developer, and if you have an Azure knowledge, it's an added advantage in your job market, whatever it is. So Azure is become a mandatory skill for every developer. It is not about .NET developer or Java developer. So I feel like learning Azure services is make your career growth to the extent. So I plan to cover some of the important topics that you need to know for developing an web application. So here I am covering like Cosmo DB and .NET Core, and API Gateway and .NET Core, Key Wallet and .NET Core, Azure App Service and .NET Core, and Azure Kubernetes and .NET Core. If you see here, I choose the services. There are a lot of services. If you want to learn Azure, we cannot learn complete services. It will take year and year to learn because lot of services, lot of platforms. So covering the maximum services, it's hard to go on live. So I plan to cover a certain topics that is very helpful for the development, as well as the basic knowledge of service. Either you may be some other developer also, but you can implement in your language, in your infrastructure. So that's what I choose this topic as a important topics. So first one is like Azure Cosmo DB and .NET Core. I have demo session also. I cannot do all the demos one by one, because for deployment itself it takes some time. So some of the demo I already inbuilt, and at last I will show all those demo. So if you see with Azure Cosmo DB and .NET Core, if I'm a developer, I've been working in my SQL server where I need having a lot of data. I need to truncate all my data. Again, I need to store my data somewhere. Again, I need to publish. While I'm publishing, need to set up a storage. Everything, it's somewhat complicated to work. So Azure Cosmo DB coming into an extent. It is it's like a global distributions, like turnkey global distribution. It's always being on, and its elastic scalability of its storage make it as a worldwide competencies. Like it have the guaranteed low latency at 99% throughout the world, and there is no schema or index management as like other services. It is a battle tested database service. If you see Azure Cosmo DB, it have many other API services like table services, graph is there, and I have SQL, and lot of services being available in Cosmo DB. Depending upon your project requirement, what case we need, how the data we need to store, either it is a structured data or it's an unstructured data, there is a format is there like text format or some other format, we can able to store the data as per the requirement. And another feature of Azure Cosmo DB is like we can have a stored procedure, we can use the triggers, and we can use the functions there. So everything set up in a single framework inside the Azure portal itself. So Azure Cosmo DB is the first topic that we are going to cover. And this is a API gateway. If you see API gateway, if you having the microservice architecture where we have the several layers of several layers of services that we bind one another, each one after each other, we have some common gateway where the interaction from the client app will disturb the gateway alone. It will not directly reach to your services. We are already having some services that we are using in a microservice. Like I already created one service using a service called Lucosuf, where I having the gateway, where I'm creating a downstream path as well as upstream path, where my all my routes will be disturbing my API gateway, and all my services will be under my uh, gateway process. This is a concept we are the same concept we are doing on the Azure itself. Like we are using the Azure API concept to do this purpose. Like we have separate services like service A as well as service B, and all those routing will be upstream and the incoming routes will be downstream, and I will have my certificate also along with the response catching with authentication. So this is an important thing that we can implement by means of Azure rather than using the some other package from the package management console. So it plays an important role in a .NET Core development. And the next thing is like Azure Key Wallet. If you see with Key Wallet is something we are protecting something. It may be a keys or administration application secrets. Sometimes we will encode something and we can protect there, and we can monitor the access as well as we can use that in our centralized application. So Azure Key Wallet is a service that we need to use for username, password, where we need to keep all those in a some certain secured place, and we can use that keys later in our application implementation. So this is one of the service that plays important role in security related things. So Azure App Service and .NET Core. App Service is an important concept. Like each and everyone will know about this app service, because I need to publish or I need to host my application, or I want my application to go on live. I need to publish my application. If you use Azure, we can publish our application by a single click. And the important point is like remote debugging. When the application is already hosted, we cannot debug our application. We cannot see where the error are somewhat. So by means of this Azure App Service, we can debug the hosted application and we can easily see where the error also. And this is an important feature that added an advantage of Azure than other services. And it enabled the cost policy. I need certain people to access my site. I don't want others to access. I can set up the security path where I can enable the cost policy, so I can permit certain user to access my site, and I can restrict other. So these kind of things can be enabled in app service. And the second thing is like authentication within minutes. Everything. If you want to set up a certificate, or if you want to set up a custom domains, like you want your domain to be in the name as you wish, everything you can set up by a single frame in Azure service. And we can also have deployment slots. If the application is running somewhere, I want to check some error or fix the issue on another side, I cannot do on a single slot where both the application is running and I want to check. So if I have a separate slots, I can easily check my application which is already running on the website, and it is scale on demand. Like it's whenever it's come to an Azure, scalability is a main thing that we are evading to Azure. So scale on demand is a main thing. So the next thing is like Azure Kubernetes service. This is like once the Docker, once Azure Kubernetes service come to an extent, like continuous integration, continuous deployment taken into its heights. Like Azure Kubernetes service is an important service that I can deploy my application. I can deploy the microservice application with the Docker file easily with my Azure DevOps or with my DevOps starter, whatever it is. So this is used to deliver scale your containerized application. So I am containerizing my application into several smaller pods, and I want to deploy that into an Azure, I can use Azure Kubernetes service, and it is removes the complexity of managing multiple containers. If you are deploying a monolithic architecture application, it is very far easy. You can maintain everything within a single thing, so you can maintain that. But if you are deploying a microservice architecture application, it will make a lot of complexity to deploy across the multiple server, because if one server is down, you can utilize others. So in this concept, we are deploying in many server, but the complexity comes into this extent. You cannot find out which server is gone out, which service is not working. So by means of Kubernetes, it's containerizing, it's deploying the containerized application, it maintaining the health monitor status of each containers that being deployed. That's the main advantage of Azure Kubernetes. This can be discussed at the demonstration in depth. And if you go with the managing load balancing, whenever we are deploying an application, it is creating an VM. If VM comes into a concept, load balancing hits. So VM have the concept of load balancing along with the disaster recovery. So this application being deployed into AKS also have the features of VM, and it will manage the resource allocation as well as scaling and self-healing of an application. So as I said before, I have the separate health monitor status of my application, so I can able to see how much server request I've been requested to my server, how much CPU utilization till now my application consume, everything I can able to monitor. If there is any issue exists, I can able to fix the issue from my DevOps end or from my application end, from my Azure end. So this is the option available to fix the issue. So that makes our work quite easily, because being a developer and doing an operation is somewhat quite difficult concept. But using this Azure Kubernetes service, we can fix and we can play a dual role also. So understanding Azure Kubernetes service as a developer is a very good thing that we need in today's scenario. So we can go for demo. First thing is, like, I want to show about that CosmoDB. Like if you go, this is how we need to create a database, and a container inside a database. I'm going to store my data, where I can see those data in my Azure portal with the help of CosmoDB. I can be able to write a store procedure as well as triggers as well as functions within the CosmoDB. So if you see, this is my .NET Core application. If I go with a web API, I have the folder structure somewhat different. Like I will have root configure files and some other files like startup files, where I can need to add my services like that. If you go with a simple console application, you will have a simple program.cs file where you can able to write a code. So what I am doing is, I'm first establishing a URI that links my Azure account with my local application. This is a URI that by being created from my Azure. So if you go here, I have, I'm going to, okay, I already created a service of CosmoDB in my Azure. So I can have my keys, everything here. This is a endpoint URI that's connect your local application with your CosmoDB, and I will have a keys also, that is like something like authentication. So I'm giving my URI, endpoint URI, that is my I'm establishing the connection to my CosmoDB. After that, I am giving the key for an authentication purpose that I am accessing from my account like that. After that, what I am doing is, if you go with a normal data storage like SQL server, you will have a database where you will have a separate tables in that format. But if you go with CosmoDB, we will have a database and all our data will be containerized. So we will have a containers. Inside a particular container, I will have my data being stored up. Whatever the queries I'm writing, whatever the triggers I am giving, whatever the function I'm doing, everything will be happen inside my container. So this concept makes us, we can easily access the data particular format with particular container. So what are the data in different format we can access in another container. So this makes the user ease of accessing the data based on the type or formats. So the next thing is I want to create a database and I want to create a container. So I'm creating the container by giving a hot-coded value. The first thing I'm doing is like I want to make sure that my project is being created or what. So I'm just creating a simple right line, like I am creating the project. Once after this, I'm having certain program that need to be run. The first thing is like I want to create a database. So once my database is being created, I want to create a container. After that, I want to add the values or the details which I want to insert into my database. So this is a code that creates the database. I'm creating the database by using the database ID that by being hard coded before. After that, once I created a database, I'm creating the container inside the database. So I'm using that database as my base, and I am creating my container within that. This is async and await. After that, once my container is being created, I'm inserting that. I'm using an inline memory. If we are going with the API or MVC project, we will have our DB values somewhere. So we can use that values also. For a quick demo, I just use the inline memory. So I'm created an inline memory where I'm using the ID. Here I'm using it as a partition key. So I'm using an inline memory. After that, I'm trying to insert the values of the I have been entered into the container. So what I am doing is I'm inserting the values by means of my partition key. This partition key can be your name or ID, whatever. Usually ID is good to use because ID will not have the repetitive values and it will be unique. Here for a demo, I just use the name because I first set up DB with no ID. I just created with a name and then I added an ID. After that, I just Googled and I fixed the issue by a partition key will have an ID or something that will be unique to identify your details. So after that, I can add the queries that I need to perform action inside my container. So you can give inline query as like this, or you can also write inside your container. After that, you can alter those things, but here the queries what you've written cannot be altered. So better you can use the query inside your container. That's a simple console application. So I just created a database, I just create a container, I just added the values that I want to insert into my DB that been created in a CosmoDB. After that, I just written a query what I want to perform an action. So here it will create a DB and that container, and all the values will be pushed into my database. So if you see in a console, it will be like this. The project will run and it will display the details. After that, it will the project will completely end. So once you give a refresh, after that, if you go and visit your Azure portal where you created, and I can able to see my CosmoDB. This is the name I used for my database. This is the container been created. So I can write a query also. So C is a common word. It's been already pre-declared. So as per the normal query, if you give as per normal querying standards, if you give this command, it will not execute. It will show you an error like 404. So I'm choosing this. I'm executing this. So you can see the values I given in my inline memory will be replicated. You can see the format. This is how this data being stored in CosmoDB. So while this format will help you to retrieve as well as store data easily, and you can also access the data easily. So that's why I insist that working as a .NET developer, implementing all the DBs and DB related stuff via CosmoDB make our work easy and sustainable for our growth. And this is all about CosmoDB. Now let's discuss about the other concept like Azure Kubernetes service. So I want to deploy my .NET Core application directly into the Azure. So how can I do? Is it possible? Because I need to create an image, I need to push an image, I need to create a copy of an image, I need to transfer that copy into somewhere. After that, I need to perform a publish artifact. All those stuff is it's quite hard for me. How can I do that? From my on-premise to my DevOps environment, how can I perform those actions? This is a lot of doubts we will have while we are going to start deployment via DevOps or some other things. So for this confusion, we are having something special called DevOps Starter. So DevOps Starter is something it's a deployment tool. It will create an AKS cluster without doing Azure Container Registry. We need to, normally for deploying into the Azure Kubernetes service, we need to create a Azure Container Registry where I need to give the location, everything separately, and type of containers. Those kind of steps being already automated in this DevOps Starter. So simply I'm using a new application, so I'm going via the portal. If I have my existing application, .NET Core application, I can do from my on-premise. So that's quite easy. If you see, I'm just choose the DevOps Starter in my Azure portal, and then I'm giving a click of .NET because I'm going to create and deploy my new .NET application. So I'm choosing a .NET, and then I'm clicking. Here it will ask you the type and you want a database or not for your application. I'm usually going with my .NET Core because I want to deploy my .NET Core application. After that, I'm clicking yes. This is a type or an application that you want to deploy. You can deploy by means of Service Fabric or by means of Kubernetes service or by means of Windows web app, whatever it is. It will ask you what are the clusters, what are the type of clusters you want to do your actions. So as of now, I'm going with my Kubernetes service. So if you see here, I want to give my project name. Since I'm deploying a new project, I'm giving a new AZ demo. So after that, see, this is my Azure portal. I have my Azure DevOps organization that been linked to my Azure portal. So whenever I'm deploying my application, it's automatically as a pre-planned, it is linking my DevOps to set up my CI/CD pipeline. This is a special feature of DevOps Starter. I have my link with my DevOps in my Azure itself. After that, I want to choose my subscription. This is where we need to concentrate. Like here, where our AKS, like Azure Kubernetes service, is get into an action. So what we are going to do is we can use our existing cluster or we can create a new cluster. So if I'm using a existing cluster, I want to give a name. So I don't have an available cluster, so I can create a new cluster. I already told, like VM. Whenever we are deploying an application via AKS, we are getting a VM. So wherever the VM, we will have a size as well as the node. So choose the size of virtual machine according to the CPU or the storage based on some basic requirements. Go for AK additional setting. See, we are not giving that Azure Container Registry and other titles like HTTP, routing and all. This is automatically created If you want to customize yours like version or number of count, you can do. The count should be greater than 1 or 2 because it need at least a count role of 1 or 2. So after that container registry, it is all been pre-built. So we are not going to do anything here. The changes are been already good. So I'm just giving okay, it's just validating. So a location, everything is other like as usual like other services. I'm giving done. I think deployment is in process. I already opened the my DevOps. So if you come to the DevOps, we choose an organization for our new application deployment. So go to that organization. I think it's a case sample of something. Okay. I think organization code. See, so the application I deployed is directly visible to the organization I created. So my first build and first commit will be automated. So my build is in progress. Once my build is succeeded, my release will start to work. So unless my build and my releases succeed for my first commit, I can't able to see my resource plan available in my Azure. So via this Azure DevOps Starter, I can manage my pipeline. If I click build pipeline, it will automatically open to my DevOps where I can able to customize my build pipeline, my commits, my changes. So from the single view of Azure, I can able to manage my entire DevOps practice in a single hit, as well as I can able to view the endpoint of the application I created and I deployed after my build and release is succeeded. So it will take some time because once build is succeed, after that release will be succeed. After that only I can able to view my application. So unless this is how my application will appear with the endpoint once my build and release is succeeded. This first commit is based on automated commit for a .NET Core application because I'm doing from my AKS to DevOps. If I'm going with on-premise to DevOps via AKS, the process will be different. Like you need to customize the manual, you need to build an image, and you need to push your image. You wanted supported files like Docker, everything. So this is a way, one way that you can deploy. And I told you like we can monitor the health, like we can monitor the health and other things, where we can monitor our health and other things. So before my can see. Okay, I think it is already there. Once it is succeeded, only I can able to see. can show here like demo AKS. So I didn't created a separate Azure container registry or a separate AKS cluster for the application I'm deploying. I just choose the DevOps starter and just set up my customized requirements what I need. So it automatically created the AKS cluster along with deploying. So by means of this AKS cluster, I can able to look after my health of my application, like how much request to the server I given, what are the node utilization, CPU utilization, everything can be seen by via this. So once the application get the demo sample, it's a pre-built sample. Once it get published, this is how it will look at my browser. If I want to do some changes, like I want to modify something and I want to redeploy that, I want to set up my manual testing something, so I can do that from my DevOps. I don't need to so build is get succeeded. So if you want to go with releases, I think it is release a dev. It is getting. I can edit the build and release pipeline, and I can able to redeploy it again to my Azure. So once the build is get succeeded, shall wait. So if you see, you can have the project homepage that I can connect this project directly to my VS, as well as I can have my resource repository here. And one more main thing is like I can able to create a new pipeline by means of my source control. Either I am having a YAML file or some other files from my Git, I can connect directly, so I can establish my pipeline. And then I can deploy that into my AKS. So it's taking time. And meanwhile, if you guys have any doubts, you can ask me. So until it's getting deployed, we can discuss about the doubts.
Guys, any questions in between?
Actually, I do have one. So, is there any specific process to implement, the development approvals or the gated builds from the DevOps starter itself, or do we have to go to the Azure DevOps portal to implement that later?
Actually, like, you can repeat your question once again.
Is there any way to generally what we do in Azure DevOps is like during the release pipelines we implement like deployment approvals, post deployment approvals, and then gated builds, right? So how do we implement using that from DevOps starter?
Yeah, I got your point. That's what I told you. Like, if you want to do from your on-premise, usually if you want to perform the same DevOps starter operation, I want to monitor in a customized manner, you need to do the ordinary pipeline activity where you can connect your DevOps starter by creating the services. You need to customize your build and release pipelines. I will show you in my DevOps. Like, I'm setting my DevOps pipeline once again for a new pipeline. We need to create a build of the image, and again we need to push that image. After that, we need to specify the activity where you need to perform the AKS. So if you want to go with AKS with the DevOps starter, from on-premise, we have to do the imaging process. That is a common characteristics of containerization. So this is a sample demo. So I came from DevOps starter to DevOps. If it is from on-premise to DevOps starter, the steps will be like you need to give a version control, everything, and the artifact, you need to copy the file from your image to your artifacts. So those steps need to be followed. But you can use your DevOps starter for the existing application in on-premise also. The same functionality will be available either from DevOps starter to DevOps or from on-premise to DevOps. I hope I am clear.
Yeah, that's clear.
So it's running. So it's nothing. After it's get proceeded, we just need to alter something. I'm usually doing it in my index. So again, I will redeploy it. So whatever the changes I will do, it will be appear in a single endpoint. I don't have many endpoints over whatever the changes I'm doing. That's a special, like here I can able to track my commits, but I will have a same endpoint that will get refreshed for my each and every commits automatically. So I don't want any triggers. So if you have guys have as previous colleague has some doubt, if I'm doing from on premise, the same thing I want to do, establish a connection from my Visual Studio, like either going with manage connections, and then I need to choose my DevOps. In my DevOps starter, I need to choose the organization where my project is exactly located. So my existing project get cloned with my DevOps starter is already available in Azure. So that's why I make a note, like organization name, what we are choosing for a particular project plays an important role. If you have a sample app that been already in your on-premise, you can do like that. Since we are deploying in a AKS in a container manner, we should need a Docker file as a mandatory file. Without that, it will not perform. But we can able to customize our build and release pipeline. Like you want Helm chart, or you want to install a Helm, you can customize while you are doing a release pipeline. So I think taking time. So if you see here, it is sortable. My everything what I want to do. If you want your new pipeline from on-premise, you need to set up things like whatever the mandatory things that that your application need to be deployed into AKS. Other than that, everything is same working with DevOps starter. So once it is done, see my Kubernetes service is available. So in my AKS, I can able to monitor my containers. I can able to view my logs also. So if you see, I can have complete health monitoring of my application that being deployed. So this is the thing, the DevOps starter with .NET Core. You can work with DevOps starter in whatever the application, independent to the language, infrastructure. This is something like new and something that we need to know that Azure, because many people like I've been gone through, feels like Azure Kubernetes service is a bit difficult to get because we need to create an image and now again we need to do all other deployment activities. But I feel like using the DevOps starter with .NET Core, it makes developer end to perform good at operations also. So this is like some good future that we need to learn in Azure service as being a developer in .NET, irrespective to the framework or whatever the language it is. So that's all. That's all for the today's session. If you have any doubts other than this, you can ask me. And I am available in Twitter also. You can ping me.
Actually, one more question from my side. Like you implemented the pipelines to the CI/CD, I mean to the AKS. It did. I'm not so sure where the Helm chart was implemented. I mean, is it implemented automatically or like you mentioned somewhere else? Uh, uh, or the Helm chart?
Yeah, actually, the DevOps starter as a pre-built form is having all the features of a deploying a containerizing application. If you see after my deployment in my DevOps,
We are not able to see your screen.
okay, wait. Just sharing it again. Is it visible now?
Yeah.
This is my deployed application. If you see, I'm having all my dependency file that I needed, like hem ignore as well as Docker files also. Because if you are deploying in a AKS, these are the mandatory file. If you are doing from on-premise, we need to set up this.
All right, gotcha. So I was confused with the Helm chart was, and I implemented. I didn't put that in the code. Well.
I have JSON file as well.
Like one more thing, just one more thing. Like in case if we want to like do something manually, like in some places where I have to mount the volumes and all. So do I have to? I mean, how can I access that? How can I modify the YML file?
Actually, if you want to modify something in YAML file or something what you are already having, it's nothing. You can simply go and edit and just rebuild again. If it is a new project that you are deploying from on-premise, you can do the build and commit as like normal DevOps. It not replicate any problems in your DevOps starter. Whatever the changes you giving after build and release succeed, it will automatically available in your DevOps starter. The application that will be deployed in your DevOps starter. So you don't need to worry about the editing or what are you changing in your application that already been deployed. So you don't need to trigger anything like you need to trigger manually your build and release also. Whenever you are editing something, it is auto triggered. That's what I am telling. Like the continuous integration and deployment with AKS is very good in insights. So that's what I told you in example. I just do some changes in index. Again, I redeploy the same application. The same endpoint will be available in my DevOps starter. The changes will also be replicated.
Yeah, got it. Thanks.
Is there any doubt, guys? Any other doubt?
Chandan, if there's anything more.
If there is anything more, we can connect later on.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So Menaka, are we done? I think there's no further questions.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yeah, so thanks a lot, Menaka, for joining us and delivering this session to our people here in this call today. Hopefully, yeah, if they have any further questions that they would want to join you in your social links that you shared,
Yeah.
possibly in Twitter, I think. You're more active in Twitter, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, thank you so much once again, Menaka. Yeah,
Thank
really
you,
appreciate
Pradeep.
it.
Thank you, Pradeep. Thank you, Pradeep, for your invite.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. So with this, let's move into our next last but not the least session. Session by once again by not once again actually, but by Chandan, uh, Bhagat Gupta. So Chandan is our seasonal speaker at Nepal Cloud Professionals community, and mainly his expertise is around Azure DevOps and technologies surrounding that. And this time around, because this particular meetup is more inclined towards Power Platform, so the session is about understanding Power Automate, about and integrating that with your ASP.NET application. So with this, Chandan, the session is yours now. Over to you.
Well, thank you, sir. Uh, all right, everyone. Good afternoon, and I'm Chandan Gupta Bhagat. I think most of most of you guys know me from the Nepal Cloud Professional Group. We like do often virtual meetups, and previously we did many more things with the DevOps and then various events. So yeah, so starting my topic with the Power App. Uh,
Chandan, so sorry to interrupt, but I think the noise is a bit, disturbed. Or can this be better?
is it good now?
Yeah, it appears that you are not very close to the microphone, possibly.
All right.
Yeah, it is good, of course, but the sound is a bit low, so that's why just
All right.
saying that. Yeah, but that's fine. Yeah, thank you.
All right. So, well, is it good now? I hope it
Uh,
is good.
yes, it is. It is good.
Okay. So, starting from my topic with the Power Automate, actually, it's a uh, uh, actually it was previously known as the Microsoft Flow. So, I will start the session from my introduction. So, currently, I am the DevOps engineer at the Agrisync and also the CTO at Dakshin Nepal. And uh, starting with the Power Automate, it's a Microsoft services. Previously known as the Microsoft Flow, and it helps us to create like the workflows, the business process workflows, where you can actually have the approvals, set up the approvals for the non-technical persons. So if you are running the business and you want to run some of the workflows, like when what happens when you get some of the emails. So what happens when I mean you can trigger any action through any through, you can actually create a triggers and then action. I mean, how many of you guys know about like one of the app, very popular app, IFTTT? It's available in the Android. So basically, that's the Power Workflow is also some similar kind of logic where we can actually implement a longer list of the workflows, not that as simple as the IFTTT. So yeah, so I would like to show you what Power Automate look like. So here's the Power Automate. So this one is the trial account which I created for my organization, and here actually you can see a list of like the action items and the flows, and then you can create your workflows and then already available templates. So let's explore through the templates. So starting with this, like, so whenever there is like an email attachment, you can directly save to the OneDrive. I mean, you can set yourself a reminder in the 10 minutes. You can give a push notification when you receive an email from your boss. So there are various type of the workflows that you can actually do here. And for the devs, now you can create the HTTP triggers, and then you can actually access a lot of things when you have the premium account. So you can log in free to this Power Automate, and you can explore it. But some of the features are like paid, and some of the features are like free for everyone. So you can explore it. So once again, if you log in through the personal email to this Power Automate, you'll get a limited only free services. So and when you log in through like the business application, you start a trial account, and you can access a few of the premium services for a certain period of time. So here you can actually have the connectors, and then data, and then AI builders. I think these things are much more much more advanced than what I'm about to show you in the demo later. Going through the connectors, actually, it's what this connector is. This connector is actually the thing that connects between two of the events. I mean, if let's say this Office 365 Outlook is the connector that connects your application. Any application, any of the two applications. So we'll go through that later, and you can actually define the business workflows, like whenever like you have some of the client workflows, you can actually have the approval steps. When you approve, when the set of the people approve, it will go to through the next stage. Previously, it was known as the Microsoft workflow. Microsoft Flow, and now it is known as the Power Automate, and it creates like the intelligent automated workflows, and there's no big rocket science over here. So there are like there are like 5 types of the flows defined here. So one of them is like automate flow, second one is the instant flow, third one is the scheduled, fourth one is the UI, and fifth one is the business workflow. So again, I will let you walk through this photo. So when you create the workflow, when you go to the create to the workflow, you can actually see like you can start from the blank, or you can have already a template. So there's like this approval one where I can where you can see like start approval when a new item is added. So you can have the approval set. You can send the email and ask them to approve it. So yeah, and this one. I will go through this one, start from the blank. So starting with the automated flow, you can see it is triggered by a designated event. We need actually to trigger it, right? To trigger it. And instant flow is like it is triggered manually as needed. You have the option over there, and you go and create like, let's say start this workflow. And the third one is the scheduled workflow, which you can run in the certain interval of time. The fourth one is the UI flow, which you can actually have connected in your UI. And the last one is the business process workflow. So you can have here like multi-step processes when you are in a large organization. So for now, I will just go ahead with this one, automated workflow. I will show a demo later on. So starting with this, we have a solution part over here somewhere. I think you guys saw it or not. So we have solutions, we have the data, and we have the AI builder. So this solution is nothing, is not a huge thing. It's like you, yeah, it's actually used to transport the application from one environment to another. So whenever you have the solution, you can actually transport it. You can transport everything, and you have like the managed solutions, and then there are various I mean components like the entities, like connectors, and then so you don't have to worry about like creating I mean the same solution for again and again. So you can simply transfer it to I mean you can create the copies, and then you can transport it. And it also like copies all those dependencies. uh, so the next one is like the common data service that is actually used to securely securely store and manage data. And also it is stored within the set of the entities. If you are confused what entity is here, it's the same thing that is stable in the database. So why do we use this common data service? So you can connect it with your like 365, and you can add some of the validations and then logics. You can manage it accordingly. The common data service. Last one is the AI builder. So I hope why AI builder is used in I mean, why AI is used in the business, because it like gives us some predicting outcomes that can be valuable for any businesses, right? So how do we do that? Like there are certain process. There is this process only. At the first, we need to choose our AI model, and then we connect our data using the connected, the connected data service, and then we need to tell it. We filter it. We remove some unwanted information from there, and we train them, and after that we use the insights from that. So for the demo, what I did. So for the demo, what I did was I created an ASP.NET application web API, and a Power Automate workflows. And for the testing purpose, I use the ngrok and then Postman. So using this, I can actually show you the demo. So okay. So here's the API that I created in my local host. Actually, once we host this on the Azure platform, it gets easy. So we don't have to use the ngrok, but still we have to use the Postman in order to check it, right? So in this API, actually, I created a user section where we can actually give the user, we post the user, and we give the user ID. So I added a mock, a mock table. So I didn't use actual table here in order to prepare for the demo. So here's the thing. Here's our API for the API controller. So we do it like the same way that we use in our API, and connect it with our database. So once the endpoints are ready, actually I will go through this. So currently there are like three records over here. So if you are confused like how I use the ngrok, ngrok is if you're confused what ngrok is, it's a tool that actually connects your local host to the public URL that can be accessed everywhere. I mean, I will just connect using this command. Actually, this yeah, there it is. So actually, my this application is running under this port currently 44392. And what I do is like I just connect. Uh, uh, so so here is the Nzrock command. Nzrock is a free tool that I mean that creates a tunnel between your localhost to the public domain. I mean it will create a public domain that can be accessed from anywhere, and still you can have it's running actually on your local machine. So you go to the Nzrock the website, and then you have the authentication token. You access it. There's no like a big configuration to do over there. So after configuring your Nzrock, we tunnel our 44392 to get the public. So just a second, till these things get ready. In the meantime, if there is any question, you can ask it. Let me know if I'm going too fast.
Looks like no questions.
As you can see, this free account is actually limited to one simultaneous Nzrock client system. So this one is actually running, but I'm not able to get. We got a new new URL. Actually, you can access it if you like run. For the Nzrock command, you can use Nzrock dev help, so you can get help from there. So so you can actually, I'm posting this in chat. Run this, and you can see if public URL. Sorry, that's a bad gateway. this is on the public. So I'll post this URL so that can be accessed from everywhere throughout the internet. So you can actually have the API, all those similar things that I'm actually running in the local. So if you look at the command line, you can actually get have all those requests and all. So also when I run these things from the Postman itself, so you can see. Sorry, this URL was not found. So my bad. So you can see they're getting this. Record. So if you run this API/user through from your browser and post this in the chat as well, get the data itself. What was that? So this one is the get returns the JSON. The data from my local machine. So there are the three endpoints that is actually like here we have one get API user that gets the list of all the users. The second one is to create a new user and add it to that list. And the third one is we get it through ID, right? So here we have all our API ready. And once this API is ready, I will go ahead and connect it with my workflows. So already I created two of the workflow, which I'm going to show you, and we can. I will show you how to create that as well. So this HTTP, yeah. So in the HTTP here, we need to create a trigger and then the action. So when this trigger is is involved, it like creates it does perform the action, and you can actually like keep the approval sets over here. I mean, if the request is approved by some of the users. If the request is approved by some of the user, we can go ahead and like perform the action over there. So for now, I didn't keep any of the approvals over here. So let's see how we create a new one. So I will go ahead and create an automatic workflow. And so if you go to the we have the two things, HTTP and the request one. So there are a lot of other connectors where you can actually HTTP with Azure AD, with our graph security also. And if you just create a workflow like when you can also connect it with the team, so you can connect with your Gmails, and there are a lot of things. You can just go ahead and like search for the other triggers. So I will go with that. application is in the is with is in the public. So when an HTTP request is received, what do we do? So here's the thing. So here we can actually define what type of the method is that. So let's say if that's the get, if that's the put, if that's the post, if that's the patch or delete or any of the custom RESTful methods. So so what we do is like here we the default HTTP request is of the post type. So here you can see the URL will be generated after you save it. So once the URL is saved, and once this workflow is saved, this URL will be created. So I'll just go ahead and save this. But at least this would contain one trigger and one action itself. So I will just go ahead and add use sample payload to generate the schema. So in our application, if you can see, in this application, actually for the post, when we create a new user, let's say we have the ID, name, address, and the phone as a model. So this one, I will just copy this sample, and then it will actually accept as I post this. Okay. So once I paste this JSON payload, it will create a schema. So this one is the schema. As you can see, the ID is of type integer, the name is of type string, and then the phone is of the type string. So this one is method. The next step is to add an action. This one is the trigger, and then the next one is the action. So you can create the control over here, and you can actually have the condition, like if the condition, if let's say if the name is equal to, let's say let's not say name. Let's say if address is of Kathmandu, then if yes, then you can put the action over here. You can create the action. What type of the action do you want? Like you want to trigger it to our endpoint that we created through the Azure. Well, that can be done. Here's the thing. We need to trigger a FTTP request, and the method, let's say this one is the get method or the put method or the post method. We have post method, right? So the post method, we go to the post method, we add the URL. So our current URL is this, but this one is of the type post. So I can add multiple headers. Let's say the header we have is of the content. Let's say content type is application. We can have the query parameters also here that can be used in the URL, or simply we can have the body request. So in the body request, I will create. What should I have this in ID? Let's say in the ID, I will get the data from the schema. That's why we created. It asked us the schema, so you can see what do we need to pass in the ID. So let's say if that's the ID, we can pass the ID, and similarly, what you pass this, right? So we pass like four schema. For for the parameters over there, but we want to keep like only the ID and name. So once this is complete, I will just if no, then I'm not sure if this is over here. Simply you can send an email notification, right? Email notification. So so you can say this value is not from the Kathmandu to some users. Let's say it's for me to my email saying that the subject is invalid address, right? And then the body you can keep it anyway, invalid address. So insert a valid URL. I'm not so sure if this one is valid. Oh, what's the mistake in this? Sorry. So that was creating error. All right. So so let's say I save this one, and after saving this, when you open this, you get a trigger URL, right? So in this URL, actually, you copy this, like as said from the postman. I will just go ahead and like with the body parameters as let's say characterization and yep. So I will keep this as it is, right? So once I do this, I will send this request and sorry, this one is the post request. So you get like 202 accepted, right? So once you get 202 accepted, you can see our workflow if that's triggered or not. So let's see. My flows, I created this one, so it got triggered one time and it actually succeeded, right? And I think in a moment I will receive a mail. Sorry. So since we passed like the value, the conditional statement, it's like it didn't create a new sample string, right? So let's say this one, if it actually added or not. I don't think so. It added, right? So previously I created a new workflow. Let's say this one. It was this one here, and it actually has like this one is the get request. So what we can do is like URL, and in the I will copy this. I will copy this URL. Already here in the get request, the API version, the triggers, the signatures is passed, right? So what will I do is I will add more parameters, and then and name is equals to let's say Nepal percentage 20 is space, right? So I will use percentage 20 Nepal Cloud. Let's say our cloud. Then I will just give it a try. It's already triggered, and we can see a new trigger. Sorry, failed. Right? I'll just do this was failed. Wow. Not sure why this failed. All right. Let's see. What was the issue here? Oh, sorry. Yeah, this URL is not found. Yeah, I didn't change the ng-rock URL, right? So I will just edit this one and create. I will update the new URL. Copy, and then I will paste it, and then I'll just save it, and I will run this URL once again. So what will happen is in this one, yeah, it succeeded, right? So let's check if we get that in our data or not. So you can see, yes, you get the data, right? So I'll just let you guys try one. That's not actually magic I did from my side, and you can actually test it from your side. Just change the ID and the name, and you can pass the address, and also sorry, let's not do address and phone number because I didn't add that. You just change the ID and your name so that we can see. So I'm expecting some of the data. All right. So this one data got repeated. So you can see actually the ID and the name so that we can actually see. All right, I'm keeping refreshing. Let's get some new data. All right, one more, 56 Nepal. Interesting. All right, one more. All right, so you guys just got the concept what this does actually, how this works, and we can like define any of the things. I mean, we can create our custom workflows, and then just a second, let me check if this one was in my personal email. Condition was yes, it wasn't on my personal email, so I will see. Yeah, actually yes. See, so you can see I got the email from the Microsoft Power Apps and the Power Automate to me saying this one was the invalid address, and I kept just as it is. So you can actually see the difference. Yeah, and you can post this method. You can create a complex type of workflows. You can create like any of the, I mean, your custom one here. Well, I think that's all from my side. If there's any questions, you can ask me.
Yeah. Yeah, we wanted to close the entire session by 4 p.m. It's already 4:07, so I think we're still in time on time. If there's any question, we can take up, of course. But I think yes, Chandan.
Yeah, I think we are good. If there's any question, you can connect me later on. Also, I'm available in LinkedIn, in Twitter, and well, I think
Yeah.
from this presentation, you got to know my email as well.
Yeah. So in fact, if you happen to forget Twitter username or something, you can always tweet with hashtag Nepal Cloud Pro. So we can retweet it, and then it will reach to our speakers as well. I'm not sure if anybody would like to do that, but I think that is another way to be in a conversation around a specific topic. I think we are fine, Chandan. I think, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. All right, then I think time to wrap up. So thank you so much, Chandan, for your time as always, for sharing your understanding, your expertise around these areas, and hopefully, I mean, the entire session today went really well. Personally, I really found it very enriching, and there was a lot of things to learn from each other. And this is what our motto is to learn from each other and share the expertise with the local community. But it's a virtual event, so anyone from outside Nepal can also join, of course. Outside Kathmandu can also join, of course. But I see that most of the people who have joined here is a familiar name to me. I think next Marut Dungana पनि कलमा हुनुहुन्छ हैन. I think next time I would definitely want to have Marut Dai to join us as a for a SharePoint session. I think would be a great one. Then not sure what other topics would come up in our next meetup, but most probably it will be around .NET, Azure, some topics around Dynamics 65 or Power Platform would be of highest priority. So with this, all right, if there's no comment, nothing, no questions, then we can wrap up now. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And like I said, I hope that you have enjoyed today's session, and hope to meet up soon in our real face-to-face meetups as well, once the COVID crisis is over. But at the same time, if we have to continue living our lives the way we are doing right now, then we'll come up with other virtual meetups as well next month. So, and plus beyond that, just wanted to announce that we are also trying to do a hackathon very soon. And if you think that if you're interested to join us in this hackathon, then please do keep in touch. You can join as a mentor, you can join as a judge, you can join as a participant. I mean, you can communicate this to your friend circles as well, because we're about to announce this, and more details will be shared very soon in our social channels. All right, with this, thank you so much, everyone. All our speakers, from Chennai, our other speakers, Basanta Shah, who joined us earlier for a Power BI session. Chandan, for your session on Power Automate, ASP.NET's integration with and how to leverage it. Thank you so much, everyone. With this, this is a formal into our today's meetup.
Just the last thing to add, like if anyone is interested, like in delivering some of the knowledge or some of the, things in our later sessions, our platform is always open. It's not that like we only like deliver the things and all. So,
Yes, exactly.
we would
Exactly.
like,
This is a discussion forum, so it doesn't have to be a one-way delivery. If you would like to speak up, if you would like to, participate, I mean, you want to share some project ideas, even that is much appreciated. It doesn't have to be a pro-type thing. If you really feel that okay, this is something that would be interesting to the community, to the people uh, in these meetups, then please reach out and we can, yeah, bring it on the table on these meetups.
yes,
All right. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Good day. Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.